What is going on YouTube? Is FlopFish here, and welcome back to the second edition of the Chelcast. I know we were trying to do this weekly, but unfortunately life's got in the way, as UTP says, live life, and we've all been doing that to a certain extent, except for Joe, who's been trying to get us to do the podcast every night, and ironically, the one night that we probably should do this, he can't make it out, so, pretty funny. Anyways, Richard Head is joining us for today, as usual.
Hello, it's a pleasure and an honor.
And then Austin, the first Sykes, he is flying to go farming on NHL 14. I mean, like actual farming in real life, but So yeah, anyways, without further ado, I think you guys are probably just going to want to hear us get right into the meat and potatoes of this one. Because, hey, there's a pretty big announcement today regarding the game modes in NHL 15 that left a lot of people pretty sour. Now, for those who are unfamiliar, or whatever with how everything is going to shake down on next gen next year. The game modes that have been 100% confirmed and that will be in the game at launch are Play Now, Be a Pro, Be a GM, Online Versus, Hut, and NHL Moments Live, which leaves out a few things. Live the Life, which, hey, I'm actually perfectly honest. To be perfectly honest, I am fine with leaving out Live the Life. That's a hard sentence to say. But it was pretty much just like text added into Be a Pro. So, I mean, it wasn't great to begin with, to be completely honest. So, I'm fine with that getting scrapped. GM Connected, I actually wanted to see that back in, but that was a bit of a buggier game mode last year, I think. I don't know if you got to play it a little bit, Richard, but from the times I did, I found it to be, there were quite a few bugs that they kept on having to work on, and I'm guessing coding it for next gen, they probably were even more bugs to deal with. Any idea with that, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Be a GM is my favorite game mode besides, well, actually probably is. And the GM Connected was just excellent, especially if you could get a couple of your friends in on it. It's just like you said, too many bugs made it a little bit too slow. It would have been perfect if they could have just translated everything from the menu to whatever. From the offline GM into GM Connected, but yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Again, if a game mode's not gonna be good, especially for a team like that, you're much better off than just scrapping it than having, I don't know, like 100,000 people being angry tweets at you all the time because, hey, this is buggy. I mean, look at the NHL 14 app, something that's not really, you don't even pay for with the game, and how many people were complaining or ranting at EA because they decided to scrap it because they couldn't fix it.
I'm glad you brought that up because that pretty much just proves the point there. Is what's the point? Okay, so say they do have EASHL in the next game, and it's all buggy and lags you out halfway through every single game. Would people really rather have that than actually wait a year or two before it actually comes back or whatever?
Yeah, like, I don't know. I don't see, people like to think for the now, they don't like to think a year ahead. And we kind of all want our cake and want to eat it too, I guess is the best way of putting it. But again, I think the move to not have EASHL on next gen this year actually will benefit that game mode and benefit EA and everyone involved way more than having it in this year. Again, one of the things I'm going to look forward to from it is that they're going to bring in a committee to kind of help out with it. And hey, if there's someone that should be on that committee, I think Nuge TV would be the one person I would just automatically just say, you know what, get him on there. The guy has been running LG League Gaming, the competitive side of it, for quite some time. He knows a thing or two about it, actually quite a bit. And hey, if they get him in on this, or a couple people from League Gaming in on this, I'm excited to see where that could go. I've wanted to see a little bit more of competitive NHL for a while, and hey, if they can bring in that and bring in LAN for that, I'm fine with the decision. I want LAN in EASHL so badly that it's just, I'm just waiting for that. But yeah, so it's the first year since 2009 there is going to be no 6v6 on a version of NHL to start the year, because NHL or the next gen versions won't have OTP or EASHL, although OTP will be rolled out at a later date. And again, seeing this kind of makes it seem like there's some sort of bugginess between either the connectivity of the players or the fact that they said stable in OTP. To me, means there's probably something wrong with either the gameplay or the network connections or something along those lines that is to the point where it's game breaking and they can't have it in there. Again, if it's gonna be bad or if it's gonna be game breaking, probably not a good idea to have it in there, and give people the option to go and play it in another way or keep your last disc. Heck, keep NHL 14 if you like to play EASHL or something like that, and then buy the game for next gen. You can still go back, play your EASHL, and then play your next gen NHL. But so go ahead.
Sorry. What I'm thinking is that this NHL 15 could easily be the year that EA Sports NHL decides that they're gonna take a year off just to make sure they absolutely have 16 now perfect. Like we should, like the way I think about it, we should be actually lucky, or I guess lucky that they were able to bring out at least the majority of game modes back on the NHL 15. Because like I said, this game could easily be something that they're like, guys, with all the work that the little amount of us have to, well, I say little, but as in not big of a team, have to do. Like, it would make so much more sense for us to just say, hey, 15 will just make sure that 16 is that much better kind of thing. So I think we should be, I guess, thankful in a way that at least we have a lot of stuff like Be a GM, Be a Pro, and a bunch of the offline modes out in 15, along with the new graphics.
Yeah, and I think that's something people are going to underrate a lot, is that we're jumping from what used to be a 30 FPS game that was a little bit almost below that at times, into a game that I'm pretty sure they're at the point where it's running full 60 frames per second without frame drop, which, hey, that is pretty dang awesome, graphic-wise. For those who don't know the difference, it's a pretty big difference. 60 FPS is really, really nice on the eyes. So, next-gen games look pretty beautiful. So, looking forward to it. And speaking of the team size, I just want to kind of focus on that a little bit for right now and kind of talk about the team. I've met a couple people from the team before. I've seen the size of the office, and it is not a big office. You're talking about maybe 40 people or so. I'd say under 50 people working on that team, and that's pretty small for a game that's a yearly release. I don't think people realize how hard it is to code a video game. Heck, if you guys want a challenge, go ahead and try to become a coder for a video game, because guaranteed you guys will beat your head into your desk or into a cement wall before you go anywhere. It is very frustrating because you have all these lines of codes in front of you, and if you mess up like one little character, everything won't work. And guess what? You can't just like control F and find it. You have to go through everything individually and find it. It's a pretty annoying task, something that I'm thankful there's people that like doing it, because, hey, I wouldn't want to do it myself. But yeah, so they're a smaller team, and I mean, you look at all the next-gen games. You look at, my favorite one to reference would be Watch Dogs. That's a game that had probably the biggest hype out of any next-gen game out there. It got pushed back. I think it was originally pushed back like 7 months or something, and it ended up being pushed back for something along those lines, but they definitely delayed it quite a bit. And now that team they had about 2 or 3 years on development for that, and they had quite a bit of extra people as opposed to NHL. So for them to push it back 4 months, and say we give NHL a year and 2 months of time to work on it. We'll say they took 2 months off of 14 kind of towards the end to work on 15, because, hey, they still have to make NHL 14. But we'll give them that amount of time. They got it out pretty dang quickly, and I'm pretty happy that they got it out on time. I was honestly expecting, like, when people were saying September 31st release date, I was honestly expecting that. They're, from the trailers and stuff and everything that's been online that they've posted, the game's probably a month or so, maybe even more now, behind, and you got to do what you got to do to make the game good and make the fans happy, I guess, for over the course of the game. People may be ticked off about this right now. I'm sure that once the dust settles, everyone will kind of be okay. But yeah, so I guess that's pretty much it on that topic. Other than the only other thing I want to talk about is the OTP. It'll roll out the content update program, is what they worded it as. And Richard, what do you think is going to be in that program because again, the only thing they've kind of stated that EASHL won't be on next gen.
Yeah, yeah. So it says, I'm reading the first line here. OTP will be rolled. So OTP is pretty much the game mode that they talk about releasing on this content update program. And when I read content update program, I read it as every so often, whether it's every couple weeks, every couple months or so, there's a new update as well as new things going to be. Well, that's an update, isn't that? So
Yeah.
what I what I see it as is, okay, so we fix these bugs that people have having problems here, this kind of stuff, and this game mode. I kind of see it as like GTA 5 online or Grand Theft Auto Online, where every once in a while they'll bring out a game mode that has new clothing in this and a new game mode. So I can see it as being like, we fix this bug and OTP, or we fix this thing and this arcade mode or something like that. Like, I just see that being as every once in a while they finally fix this part, or not necessarily fix, but we're able to develop this part of the game perfectly, fluently, all together, so that they can finally release it out to the public. So that's what I kind of see that as. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, same thing here. I honestly think that even if it's just like, say they rule it as like hut cards or something like that, or it just seems like they're going to continue to support NHL 15 a little bit more than what they have in previous gens, because hey, let's be honest, after about December rolls around, or Team of the Year time is probably the best time, it seems like the game's almost forgotten about, and they don't really push a lot of stuff out in the previous NHL games as far as game modes, as far as DLC, anything along those lines, like updates. Maybe we'll see content update program on previous gen. Maybe they'll bring in stuff for EASHL, like for example, different boost packs you can buy. Maybe they'll bring out different jerseys for custom teams. I don't know. Pure speculation there, but hey, whatever will kind of get the job done, I guess. And I mean, I'm kind of excited for OTP because with there being no EASHL, it's more than likely going to be you're playing with NHL teams, which adds almost a bit of a different strategic dynamic to it, as you kind of have to schedule your changes with the flow of the play. And I guess some people like it, some people hate it. One of the points that I was actually talking to kind of Nuge about it quickly before this is that line changes kind of take up quite a bit of time of gameplay, and it can take away from it, but also you have to be a little bit smarter, you have to plan a little bit more with it, and there's just that extra little bit of energy to, or not energy, but strategy involved to kind of maximize that game mode and get your victories and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's true, because no one's going to be able to beat Crosby for the whole game. You're going to have to eventually move on to someone from the third or fourth line who's a little bit slower or has an advantage here. So yeah, like you said, it is going to be more strategic in not only how you change, where you change, but more how you react with each player and how you play your position and actually play the game instead of, kind of not necessarily glitch goaling, but you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, no, and the best part with that is that you'll see players who are more well balanced using different type of players, as opposed to be really good using this one player, kind of playing that game mode. It'll be different. I think it's not going to be for everyone, but I think once they bring that in, it'll be interesting to see how many people play it, just what kind of happens. And I mean, I'm still looking forward to it. I think it's going to be good. Obviously, the fact they said it wasn't Sable makes me think it's probably networking or something pretty game-breaking and mechanics-wise for them to not have it in there. But I mean, it'll be interesting. At least they're taking the time and trying to get it done right and done so it works, rather than rushing it out and everyone being upset and then removing it and then fixing it and bringing it back in. Or maybe not even fixing it and bringing it back in. Maybe just being like, nope, we'll see you in NHL 16 for OTP. So there's always two sides to the coins, and a lot of people tend to look at the negative side as opposed to the positive side. Mm-hmm. And I guess it's just innately in us. So for lack of a better term, we like to have our cake and eat it too, I think is the best way to describe that. The other thing, I know I talked about the EASHL committee. The other thing I'm really looking forward to, again, I touched on custom jerseys and stuff, is that the customization, if they'll bring it in, because that's something that a lot of people have been asking for. And just reading through stuff they've been doing, there's a lot of stuff that we've been asking for. Like as far as customization and aesthetics go, that are actually going to be in the game, like the arenas, the fans. We won't see the same fan over and over again, which, hey, we've all, at some point or another, I don't care how much you play the game or how much you will deny this, we've all complained about that at some point or another, seeing the exact same fans doing the exact same animations. That's going to be pretty wicked. What are your thoughts on that type of stuff, like the arenas, the fans?
I've always been a fan of the smaller things in every single game. So not necessarily just the fans, but the arenas as well. It's gonna feel so much, I guess, more pleasing to the eye for me playing in Edmonton, for example, because that's my team, and just seeing Rexall plays and seeing the different changes. And okay, well, the steps are a little bit different here, or this is what the ceiling looks like, and all the banners and all that. I mean, alone when I can't remember what year it was when they brought in actual NHL teams goal horns, that for me was huge because I love that so much.
12 or 11 or
whatever it was, it
yeah,
made the game so much better for me in that sense. So just the fact that not only are we going to have actual teams arenas, but different fans and stuff. I'm actually hoping that every once in a while you'll have, because even in 14 when you're playing, especially if you have the crowd volume on, every once in a while you can hear some random voice in the stands yell out something funny. I'm kind of hoping that with different fans brings more drunk people in so that you can hear the kind of funny, not necessarily fights, but just some really odd yelling stuff coming from a fan. Because we've all been to a hockey game where there's just a random guy 3 rows behind you that's just yelling nonsense.
Man, they need to have a guy yelling mashed potatoes every once in a while. That'd be hilarious. Oh, that'd be so funny. Yeah, I think, again, the little things kind of, I'm like gameplay. Gameplay is my biggest concern. It always has been, always will be. I'll stress on that till forever. Because, hey, if the game doesn't play good, why am I going to play it? But the little things they've brought in this year, they look really good. I think the green screen of the commentators, although it looks a little bit cheesy, it's cool. It's different. The whole intros to it makes it feel more realistic, for lack of a better term. And one thing I will say is that I think the commentary is probably going to be a little rough for the first year. Again, they're still getting used to the new commentators and kind of have to key up their programs. And it's actually a lot of trouble syncing up audio. I mean, if you've ever made a video project before or something like that, you can kind of know that trouble. And imagine coding for that. So I think it's pretty cool that they've also stated that they will definitely bring in the little clips from Ray Ferraro if something happens in game. Because I mean, again, it's just a little thing. You'll be playing and he'll just be like, "Oh yeah, this person reached 50 goals last night" or something like that. And
yeah,
that's pretty wicked to hear.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, you could kind of see it in the gameplay trailer where every once in a while the goal will be scored and it'd take half a second later or so for the commentators to announce it. But I'm really looking forward to not only the new commentators, but the pregame part of it, where I think they were talking about Porter or someone that had to be a custom player and talking about how he said something. So
that's a legit player on the Blues.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Get it? So so they said something about he said something or whatever. So I like how they're bringing that part into the game. And like you said, if someone reaches 50 goals, Ray Ferraro will do a little dance on the ice and talk about it and whatever. So I'm really looking forward to that kind of stuff on the game. I mean, yeah, the commentary might be a bit shabby here and there, but I mean, it's something new for us. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to it. And Porter's a real person. I think I pointed that out.
Yeah. Speaking of dancing on the ice, I'm actually super excited for the new celebrations. I think they look pretty good, and it's better than just doing a knee slide or something like that, or just wiping off the blade of your stick. Mm-hmm. Judging from the gameplay we've seen, the players actually kind of get excited when they score a goal, which is cool to see. I think it's a little bit ahead of what I was expecting to see. I wasn't expecting to see that type of stuff, and for them to be able to do that's pretty wicked.
I liked how the odd goal you could see all the goals, all the teammates were celebrating with each other, but actually interacting with each other mid-celebration. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah, that and the fact that you could see like some players were legitimately like you could almost think they just saw like a puppy get ran over. They were that sad. It's pretty interesting. It'll be good. It'll be good. I'm pretty excited for 15 so far. Yeah, so that's pretty much it as far as NHL 15 stuff goes, I think. Anything else? Speaking of the new arenas, I want to see, and I just thought about this right now, talking about the arenas and stuff. I'd love to see, rather than your 6 stinking default arenas, that you have every single NHL team's arena that you can buy off the market and use as your arena, because I think that would be the coolest little feature to add in. Something that's just like, I don't know, it'd just be that much better for Hot.
Wow. Now that you say that, that is actually really awesome. Wow. Yes. 100% agree.
Yeah, because I mean, could you imagine being just like, oh yeah, I want to have an Oilers team. Let's put Oilers jerseys, put them in the Oilers stadium, and let's have some fun. And that'd be, I'm getting too excited over that.
Have their horn go off every time you score, and
yeah.
Man,
I think that'd be a little bit just a nice, neat little touch. I'm gonna DM Rammer if I can, or just tweet at him a lot.
Don't forget to remind him about the mascots in 2016.
Oh man, mascots would be sick. Be a mascot. New game mode in NHL 16. That's why they're delaying EASHL. You heard it here first.
Easy. Oh man, have you ever seen? I don't know if you've ever played this game, but in NBA, when they have the slam dunk contest, it's almost like a mini Guitar Hero game where you have to mash buttons the perfect time in order to get the perfect dunk. Yeah. I have a feeling, especially like between intermissions or whatever, when you have to do special stuff. I'm thinking too far ahead. NHL 15 now on PS4 and Xbox, not yet.
No, it'll be. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. Speaking of like NHL 16 stuff, that'll be the return of EASHL. I mean, we might as well talk about NHL 16 right now. They've pretty much done 15 for the most part. I'm sure half the team will probably switch on to 16 and half will stay on 15. Yeah. But a lot of people seem to think it's the best time to give their ideas like 2 months before the game gets released. And it's just like, no, you're probably better off giving them like at least a year's notice. And I think something that we're going to look forward to in 16 is the ASHL. Like I said, I'm stoked to see that. But I wonder if they have something else up their sleeve, because everyone's been dying for a new game mode. And 2 years ago, we got NHL Moments Live, which, I mean, it's good and all, but it's not like, I don't want to go and play it all the time. I want something that's new, like almost like not GM connected, but like a Be a Pro online, like you were talking about, like a 20-person EASHL or something like that. But like you get randomly put onto a team with someone, and you have to kind of build your way through the team. Like the GMs of the team could trade away players or something like that. I don't know.
I kind of wish that there is almost like the franchise mode on Madden, where you can, whether you're the owner changing prices or the player, like you pretty much said, have a whole bunch of your friends all in the same league. Some of you might be on the same team, some of you might be on others, request trades, what have you, that kind of stuff. But like you said, new game modes too. I'm thinking about, there's not really, unless they add something arcadey in a way that I'm thinking of. There's not really too much. 3 on 3. Okay, there we go. The way I think about there's not too much more you can really add unless you really create an innovative type of hockey kind of game in my eye. Because yes, there's GM Connected, which is be a GM online. You were just talking about Be a Pro online. There was Hockey Ultimate Team, which is that arcadey kind of thing, playing cards kind of thing. So I'm excited to see if they do or when they do bring out new game modes, what they will kind of.
Yeah, I think just spitballing for like off the whole kind of like franchise mode. If you do that with friends, like take EASHL, combine that with Be a GM and like that. So you have someone who's the owner of the team. Pretty much make it like League Gaming and have your own team, or have your own league with a whole bunch of players. Let's see, you got 6 players per team. Times that by, say you can have up to 30 teams. That's a 180 person league or so. Maybe make it like 200. and go with that. Like, have that for your actual new EASHL game mode, is that you can create your own leagues and have like your whole league gaming stuff like that on the game itself rather than offline. I think that'd be pretty wicked in a way.
I could really appreciate that. Yeah.
I think you could it'd bring the social aspect of NHL back into it, and I think it's one thing like a couple people were saying is that there's going to be a lot less of social interaction on NHL on 15 on next gen, just because there's no OTP or ESHL right away. And you know what? I can agree with that, but at the same time, NHL is a game that there's a lot of times I'll come home from work and I'm just be like, you know what? I'm just going to play this by myself, put my headphones on, listen to some music, and just go ahead and absolutely destroy people from time to time.
Absolutely. You bring something up about. I think I had somewhat of an idea on the whole, pretty much built-in league gaming of NHL. Also, the fact of having the ability to be on more than one team, so you can be in one league that's more competitive, like LG, or you can be in another one that's more recreational, almost like Tickle Time.
Yeah, I think that'd be actually pretty interesting. I don't know. I want to see them revamp it, and I think honestly, if you were to ask a lot of people, and I asked this before, on Twitter, and a lot of people were so against it, and well, some were against it, some were for it, but if you gave the NHL team a year off, you gave them 2 years to develop a game, would you do it knowing that the game would probably be 2 times as good as what it would be in that year you missed? And I think we'll see how EASHL turns out. And if it turns out absolutely amazing for NHL 16, I don't know if it'll have implications for future releases, but there's a part of me that would kind of be like, hey, if this is that good 2 years from now, why don't we just do 2-year releases and have just keep on updating the game? I guess, I don't know, it's tough because a lot of things change in a year in hockey, but at the same time.
Honestly, as long as they keep up with the roster updates, I would be perfectly fine. Because if you were to ask that question to me, how would you feel about EA Sports taking a year off just to make the next year or the year after that much better? I would 100% say yes, just because I can honestly see myself playing NHL 14 for another year. Yeah, it might get pretty redundant at times with the same kind of thing over and over and over again. But like you said, the payout, especially having more in this NHL 16, would be that much sweeter. And I can just, like I said, I can see myself still playing NHL 14, really anticipating 16.